Today we're going to be working on lesson number 5. This is mislabeled. And we're finally going to get to variables on both sides of our equal sign. So this is our new for 8th grade, so keep that in mind. When we look at that anchor chart in the room, we're going to use all the steps now, including the green one we've been skipping for a while. Start off with this review. You guys should pause the video, complete these 2 problems on your own, and then come back and just make sure you got them right. Make sure you actually pause the video and do it. If you look at our answer for this first one, it's -5. And so here's where you may have made a mistake. First of all, this 4 is the one we have to get rid of because the 4 is by itself, but it's a positive 4. So we subtract the 4 on both sides. And then that negative is stuck to my 3. So I'm working with a -3x. So when I divide by -3, I end up with a negative answer. X is -5. Now for the next one. When I look at this next one, we start with distributing. Make sure you know that's a -3 to make a -30. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Combine our like terms, they're being added, and you end up with x equals 3. Now, we just have a problem, and it says how many coins are in each bag. So I want you guys to stop and think about this for a minute, come up with an answer, and then make sure that you guys are thinking about this logically. So pause the video, think of your answers, and remember it's 2 problems. We're going to have a different answer for the top and the bottom. The bags have different amounts of coins in each problem. But think of how you know. So if you solve this problem, we're thinking about things that cancel. So I have a bag on the left and a bag on the right. So they're going to be the same. And then I have another bag and another bag. So they're going to be the same. And so by default in this top one, 1 bag equals all of these coins. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 1 bag equals 12 coins because of how things canceled. Think about solving equations. And now on the bottom, we have a bag and a bag, a bag and another bag, and then I have 3 coins and 3 coins, so those cancel. So by default, 1 bag is the remaining coins, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So my second problem, it's 9 coins. And so if we think about you guys canceling on both sides, that's all we're doing today with variables on both sides. When solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign, you need to get rid of the variable on one side. So we have to condense, move all the variables together, then solve. But it's just like we've been doing. So over here we have our anchor chart essentially. I like the anchor chart on the wall better. It's the same steps, but we just have to kind of break this one apart. So I know it's red. Distributive property, that's always our step 1. Then orange, combine like terms, that's step 2. And then step 3 is move the variable, okay? So how we do that, we're always going to move it to the same side, and we'll show you more about that in just a second. Step 4 is undo your adding and subtracting. And step 5 is getting rid of multiplying and dividing. So this is the same as our anchor chart, it's just in a slightly different form. And so we're going to look at number 1 together. Draw my line. We're going to go through. Do I have distributive property? Nope. Move on. Like terms. I have a 7x, so there's nothing there. And then when I look at my other side, I have nothing to combine either. 5 and 5x aren't the same. Okay, so nothing to combine. Get rid of the variable. So what we want to do is we want to take our variables. We want to say which one is smaller. So I have 7x and I have a 5x. I know 5x is smaller. So I'm going to move that one. By moving the smaller one, it keeps our variable positive, which helps. So I'm going to, instead of plus 5x, I move it by subtracting. We move it by adding or subtracting it to both sides. We're just moving it to the other side. So then I have 7x minus 5x, which is 2x, equals 5. Well, I just made a really easy problem. I know to undo that 2 times x. I'm going to divide by 2, x equals, and I could just leave this as 5 halves. I could say it's 2.5. I could also say it's 2.5. All of those are correct answers. Next problem. Draw your line down the middle. And then we start by going through our steps. Distributive property. Don't have any. And then it says combine like terms. We don't have any of that either. The next step is to get rid of the variable with adding or subtracting. So I wanted to look at my variables. I have a positive 2x and a positive 4x. Move the smaller one. It makes it easier. So instead of saying plus 2x, I'm going to say minus 2x. Oops. That should be a minus 2x on both sides. I'm left with 30 equals 6 plus 2x. From here, it's just a two-step problem, you guys. Undo adding or subtracting. So get rid of the 6. 24 equals 2x. And then undo multiply and dividing. Divided by 2. X equals 12 because the 2 cancels. And there we have it. Next on your paper, draw the line. Distributed property, don't have. Combine like terms, don't have. So look at our variables. We have a 7x and a 5x. 5 is smaller, so that's what I'm going to move. Instead of adding 5, we'll just subtract 5 to get it to the other side. So I have 2x plus 2 equals 12. Undo adding and subtracting, so we're going to minus 2 on both sides. 2x equals 10. Undo multiplying, so we're going to divide by 2. X equals 5. Super quick. And our last example right here. Distributive property. Now I have it this time, so I'm going to distribute. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times a positive 4 is positive 8. Equals 16 plus x. Now look at your variables. We have to get all the variables together. We have a 2x and a 1x. Remember, you can squeeze that 1 in. I know 1 is smaller, so I'm going to move the 1. It's positive 1, so I'll subtract 1 on both sides to get rid of it. 2 minus 1 is 1x plus 8 equals 16. Then we're just going to solve. It's a two-step equation. Minus 8 from both sides. 1x equals 8. 1x is the same as x, so x equals 8, and we're finished. And then we have a problem that's going to use all of the steps down at the bottom. So our last problem today, we're going to draw our line. Oh, and we're going to walk through distributive property. Well, this doesn't even have distributive property, so that's easy. But we still have to combine like terms. So we're going to ask ourselves, anything, and we do this on sides. Look at your left side. Is there anything on the left side that I can combine? And I see I have x and x. So I'm going to combine 10x and 13x to make 23x. Copy that minus 17. Then I look at my other side. Is there anything over here with like terms to combine? And in this case, there isn't. So I'm going to just say equals 10x plus 13. Then we're going to identify our variables. We have a 23x and a 10x. Move the smaller one simply over to the other side. So go ahead and pause the video, finish this problem up, and then come back and check with me to make sure that you did it correctly. Pause it for real. So if I was going to finish this problem, I would have subtracted 10x on both sides. So I hope you did the same. And I would have got 13x minus 17 equals 13. Then, It's just a two-step problem. Undo the subtracting. So we're going to add 17 to both sides and get 13x equals 30. And then we're going to divide by 13. And we get x equals, well, that's not a nice number. I'm going to just leave it 30 over 13. Don't turn it into a decimal. It's unnecessary. Just leave it the way it is. If you want to make it a mixed number, you could say 2, which I know is 26, and 4/13. But don't do a decimal unless it's going to be a nice decimal. Just leave it in fraction. Improper fractions are just fine as long as they're reduced. And then lastly, I would actually like us to go to your assignment. It's not super long, but I would like us to do number 5 together, just to give us a start, due to the fact that I want to make sure that we're off to a good start. We know what we're working on. So if we draw our line down the center, ask yourself, always start with step 1, distribute. Do I have distributive property? Nope. Okay, move on. Step 2, do I have combined like terms? When I ask myself that question, remember you're looking at the left side for like terms, and you look at the right side. You're looking at them as two separate things. I see on the left, I have things to put together, but I don't see anything over on the right. So on my left side, 2x plus 3x is 5x plus 2, and I'm going to just recopy everything else. Now I know that x is really 1x. I'm going to shove my 1 in there. And then I look at my variables because I need to get the variables together. So I have a 5x and I have a negative 1x. Which one is smaller? Well, negative 1. How do I move negative 1 to the other side? I just undo the opposite. So instead of negative 1, I'm going to plus 1x on both sides. This is the first time we've added a variable. So just keep in mind we can add or subtract depending on its sign. Now I have 6x plus 2 equals 50. Then undo adding, subtracting, minus 2. 6x equals 48. Divide by 6. And x equals 8. So you guys have one problem on your assignment finished now. You have the rest of this assignment to do. You have to do all the problems, and I'm pretty sure there's a front and a back. Make sure you do all of them. There's also an answer key that you can check with while you're working.